Hi. Hi. Thank you so much for coming to my cooking demo tonight.
Hello.
Hello. This is my unassuming audience of my mother, her lovely boyfriend, and his lovely son. And this is my sous chef, David Rudman. I met him 5 years ago, and we immediately got married. So he'll be involved in this video as well. And today we're talking about a vegan picnic. So it's alternatives for things that you would normally see at a picnic, but with vegan replacements. And on top of that, it's gluten-free. So does everybody know what vegan is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah?
Good idea.
Yeah. Ian, do you know what vegan is?
They don't eat meat.
That's right, yeah. So a vegan person doesn't eat any meat. They also don't consume any dairy, and they don't consume any eggs. So nothing that came from an animal at all. And a lot of vegans also don't wear leather or wool or silk either. Can you think of anything else that might come from an animal that's kind of like sugary?
From an insect.
Honey!
Honey from a bee.
From a bee. So strict vegans also don't use honey, so we also won't be using any honey today, all right? So that'll be part of this vegan picnic, honey-free vegan picnic. What about gluten-free? Does everybody know what gluten-free is? Yeah.
Doesn't consume gluten.
Doesn't consume gluten, that's right. So gluten is actually a protein found in pretty much all grains, actually, but there are three main grains where the kind of gluten, which is the protein, bothers many people. They have a reaction to it. They can't digest it in their gut. And so those three grains are mainly wheat, barley, and rye. Have you heard of these things? Yeah, everybody? Wheat?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, great. So where do you usually see these things? Where do you usually see wheat?
Bread.
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 Pasta.
Yeah.
Cereals.
Yes, yeah. So we'll be talking about some alternatives for that as well. And you have your handouts. Yes?
Yes, we do.
Great, beautiful. My sous chef is also my graphic designer, so he helped me a little bit with that. We'll be making two of the two ingredients that are on our handout here, which are, I've named this the Not Your Mama's Coleslaw and a New World Potato Salad. So these are original recipes by me, made for you, and that'll be fun. The other thing that we're going to create, which is not on your handout, is a peach and hothouse tomato panzanella salad, which is a bread salad normally. So what's the problem with bread in a vegan gluten-free picnic?
It's got wheat.
It's got gluten in it usually. Right, so we have a lovely gluten-free bread with us today that I did not make myself, but a gluten-free vegan bakery did make for me. So we'll talk about the ingredients in that as well. And then for dessert, we have a special surprise. One thing that vegans tend to miss is, whipped cream or like those yogurty dips and things like that at parties. So we'll be making a nice alternative to that and dipping pineapple in it. Okay, so how are we doing so far? Good? Everybody's still with me?
Absolutely.
Hopefully you're getting hungry looking at all this food.
It's looking
I
good.
should have given you some snacks. Some of the main questions that I get when I tell people that I'm a vegan or that I'm gluten-free are, you want to ask me some?
Do you get enough protein?
Yeah, do you get enough protein? Right. Well, yes, I do. I mean, kale and most leafy greens have more protein pound by pound than red meat. What's another good one?
Don't you get bored eating the same nuts and seeds every day?
Have you ever been over my house for dinner? There are so many different things that we can do with food. Oh my gosh. No, I never get bored with that. What else?
I would die if I had to stop eating cheese.
Would you really die if you had to stop eating cheese?
It's a hypothetical.
So we hear these things all of the time. We also hear, what do you do without bread? As if without eating bread with gluten in it, all life ceases to exist. It certainly doesn't. And there are really easy 3 or 4 ingredient solutions to that. And so just before we get started with the actual mechanics of all of this, I'd love to field any questions maybe pop out one or two questions you might have about a vegan or a gluten-free diet before we get started. Anything?
Aren't you hungry all the time?
Yes, but that's just because I'm hungry all the time. That has nothing to do with vegan diet. But yeah, we get plenty of calories.
Here's one that I hear people complain about. When they initially go gluten-free, how long did it take you to get over craving breads?
That's definitely a really, really good
And
question.
it's legitimate. I do
Yeah.
see people go through withdrawals.
They do. People definitely go through withdrawals. And that can be a number of different things. First of all, bread tends to be, well, it is a very high glycemic index food. So if somebody has had sort of a carbohydrate addiction, they can have a little bit of a blood sugar dysregulation, especially if you couple that with strange eating times or stress. And what that means is their blood sugar is spiking and crashing. So if I were to eat something like a bowl of sugar, that energy would burn right through me super fast. I would eat the bowl of sugar or drink the can of soda or eat the slice of white bread, which is actually almost identical to that. And I would have this burst of energy and then I would have this crash. Have you ever experienced that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So things like bread and white rice that are very high in glycemic index can do the same exact thing. So I would say that that's part of the addiction part of bread and gluten and missing that. The other thing is it's just such a social bonding experience. I mean, breaking bread, it's anthropologically one of the most mentioned eating rituals in history. So people love to bake bread, they love to have bread. What do they bring you when you sit down to dinner?
Right.
A big old basket of bread. You know, so I think a lot of that also has to do with it. It can be mind over matter. But we'll start to make it matter over mind, all in time. Sometimes if we just walk up to resistance, we can start to build resilience around that kind of thing. Anything else?
What are the ill effects that people have that are affected when they eat gluten? What are
Oh,
some of the symptoms?
yeah,
I mean, can you possibly not know that you can ever be having a reaction when
absolutely.
you consume it? And do you feel maybe off kilter but not know why? And
Yeah.
it could be the gluten.
Absolutely. And in fact, you hear so many cases now of people who have suffered from chronic fatigue syndrome, indigestion, have been diagnosed with irritable bowel disorder, or all sorts of different digestive issues, and come to find out when they've later done these tests, some of the tests that you'll hear is like an IgG or an IgE or an IG4 test that they'll do to see if you have a gluten sensitivity in your body. And they can also test on your intestines, the epithelial cells, so the cells in your intestines, they have these little like hairs, and they're villi. So people who have celiac disease, their villi are like this, or people who have gluten sensitivity, their villi go to sleep. We need the villi because the villi are what help the G4 and G3 uptakes, so the gluten uptakes come out and get the gluten and take it into the cell for digestion. So people with celiac disease or gluten sensitivity don't have that, so that's another way they can test to see if you have celiacs. But sorry, that was a bit of a tangent. So yeah, people do go for years and years and years not knowing they have a gluten sensitivity until somebody has the foresight to think of it and test for it, and they can start to really help abate the symptoms. We get vitamin deficiencies, which can cause lethargy and hormone imbalances in the body, and all sorts of other things that can lead to feeling off kilter. So yeah, if you ever think that you're having a problem and you tend to eat a lot of gluten, it's really good to check in and ask your doctor if maybe that could be something to think
I
about.
have a blood test, and that's how they determine.
Yeah,
Um,
that you were gluten sensitive. Yeah.
Mm.
So those are all really good questions. All right, excellent. So I'll give you just a couple more factoids about vegans, and then we'll get going. Not that I'm trying to sell you on anything, but vegans across the board have shown to have vegetarians also. There have been a number of meta-analysis studies done on vegetarians and vegans and populations who just eat more of a plant-based diet, and we see things like lower risk of cardiovascular disease, lower risk of cancer, lower body weight, more longevity, and just abated comorbidities across the board. So people die less often from less things when they eat a more whole foods based vegan and vegetarian diet. The other thing to think about when we start to talk about gluten is that the wheat today is not the wheat of yesterday. In fact, it has pretty much half the protein content that the wheat that our ancestors grew up eating had, and it's just very high in sugar now, so it's a totally different product. Vegans also tend to have, better skin quality, better hair quality, as long as they're doing it right. There are several nutritional deficiencies that vegans and gluten-sensitive people need to be aware of. One can be excessive low body weight, low vitamin B12, D3, not enough intake of essential fatty acids, which really help with cognitive acuity. 60% of our brain is made up of fat. The phospholipid membranes of the cells of our brain are made up of fat, and so when we're not consuming enough of our essential fatty acids from animal products like fish, or marine algae is a good vegan source of that, then we can start to also get brain fog. So those are some things that vegans need to look out for. All right, so why don't we talk about some of these recipes? One of the big things that people tend to miss and not know what to do about is mayonnaise, right, in their diets. When they're starting to go into a picnic, it's like potato salad and coleslaw, but we throw mayonnaise in those. What are you gonna do if you're not eating eggs? So one option, and actually I'll grab it out of the fridge and put it away, is you can purchase a pre-made vegan mayonnaise. And this one so happens to be made with canola oil, which I'm also avoiding in this demonstration, but this is a good alternative. It's a soy-based and canola-based product, and it tastes literally just like mayonnaise tastes, okay? What we're going to work with today is a mayonnaise alternative. And so what I'll talk about is the ingredient list. So you all have your handout here. Cool. And we have the new tradition red potato and asparagus salad, all right? So the ingredients here are one bunch of steamed asparagus, which we haven't chopped yet, so I steamed and blanched these beforehand. 10 parboiled and chilled red potatoes, so they're here. The reason that we chill the potatoes after we boil them is because it lowers the glycemic index of them. So white potatoes tend to be somewhat inflammatory and very high in the glycemic index, but when you refrigerate them, the sugar count lowers, so they're less of a spike. The protein is more bioavailable too. We're going to do 1 cup of chopped dill. So I've washed this dill, and my sous chef is going to sweetly cut it up for us too. You'll get to watch. 2 cups of chopped celery. So we have that chopped celery here. All ingredients today are also organic. And 1 cup of baby arugula, so we'll measure out 1 cup from there. For the dressing, which will be a great mayonnaise alternative, we have sesame tahini. Okay, so I've measured out 1 cup of the sesame tahini, and this is essentially just toasted sesame seeds pureed, and I bought this one pre-made, but you can also just make your own by toasting sesame seeds in a pan and throwing them in your food processor. All right, and then we're doing lemon juice, which we've squeezed out. We've pre-squeezed the lemon juice here. You can do that with a citrus press, or you can do root strength, whatever calls to you in the moment. 2 teaspoons of red pepper flakes. So we have some red pepper flakes here, and if you want to check these out, we'll be able to pass these around after as well. We have minced garlic, which we've minced up here too, and David will show you how to mince. Mincing is a great little skill to have. 2 teaspoons of pink salt. So we use the Himalayan pink salt. I know a lot of people say Himalayan, but in Ayurveda we always say Himalayan. So Himalayan pink salt. This has a higher mineral content that helps balance out the effects of the sodium in the body. So we're using pink salt in our dressing today. And 2 teaspoons of ground black pepper, and I have my black pepper grinder here. So before we get going, I think what I'll have David do here is come on over to the chopping block, if you will, sir. Great, thank you so much. And the first thing that we'll have him do is demonstrate the chopping of the asparagus. So we're just going to chop up those asparagus guys into little chunks to add to the potato salad, and they'll all get chopped up, and it doesn't have to be pretty because we're eating it all. It's all going in our bellies. So do you like asparagus, Ian? Yeah, me too. Asparagus is a super good for you food. It's very detoxifying to the body, very anti-inflammatory, high in vitamin K. So it's just a really great addition to any diet, vegan or not vegan. And one of my most favorite ways to eat asparagus is actually grilled with olive oil and salt and pepper. Yeah, and a little bit burnt, but that's not good for you. So pretend I never said that.
I heard you inherited that.
I did inherit that. I inherited that from you, I think, maybe, could be. So David right here is just using a ceramic knife. You can also use, if you have a big, heavy, medium-sized chef's knife, that would be really a great alternative as well. He just happens to like this knife, so I'm letting him use it. But having a good chef's knife in your kitchen is a really important thing to have, and the sharper the better. And so that should be fine, you know. We'll just toss that right into the salad bowl here. And don't worry, we have clean hands. So yeah, if you could bring that over. So we'll just toss that in. Great. Thank you for your help. And this was steamed for just a moment beforehand. We don't want to cook our greens too long because it starts to lose its nutrition profile really, really quickly. All right. The next thing that we'll chop up here is the dill. All right, so David's going to chop up about 1/2 of this dill, and you want to use the part of the dill, and the stems are okay. It's okay to have the stems. The part of the dill that's not the root of the dill. All right, so we want to be using not the root of the dill. About 1/2 of the dill. Great, thanks. So you could just chop that right up and then throw that in the bowl. That'd be great. And you can buy this at any grocery store. It's usually just right with all of the other greens, organic dill. It's great to use and have around for salad dressings. I also just like to eat it raw in my salad almost every day when I have a salad. Great, and so he'll just do really, really teeny cuts here, super, super small cuts. You don't want a huge piece of the dill, especially if you're eating the stem. Great. And then the next thing that we'll talk about here is the celery. So we've cut up the celery already for you, but we saved just a couple of pieces to finish up cutting, just to demonstrate it's going to be the same kind of chopping method that he's doing now to cut the celery. And I'll go ahead and throw the celery right into the bowl here with the potatoes and the asparagus. Great. And then if you want to just go ahead and demo chopping up the celery, we can put the, oh yes, put the dill in first. Sure. He's a silent sous chef.
They're the best kind.
The best kind. Well, if you've ever worked in a restaurant, you know they're usually not very silent at all. Not at all. Yeah, great. And so we've thrown all of that in there, and then while he's finishing demonstrating the simple, so you want the skinny chop so that the skinny ends are here, are coming out like this. They're just really slim, slender pieces of celery that you can chew on, that you don't want to avoid when you're chewing on. And then about 1 cup of celery, or I'm sorry, baby arugula, which is usually just about 1 fistful of arugula. So if you don't feel like measuring it out, about a handful of arugula is a really good amount to throw in there. And so that'll be all of our ingredients for the potato salad as far as the salad part goes. And what we'll move on to is talking about the dressing now. And you can see the really pretty green color that the dill left on the plate. The dill is a really, really nutritional powerhouse. Well, he rinses that off. I'll get into the dressing here. So for the dressing, we have 1 cup of sesame tahini going in. So this is the sesame tahini, and it's really, really yummy. It tastes sort of like kind of like a peanut butter almost. It's super duper yummy, and I can pass it around if you want to taste it. You just stick your finger in it and give it a taste and pass it down. And then we're doing the 1/2 cup of extra virgin olive oil.
Finger in there.
Yeah, give it a taste.
Kind of peanut buttery, isn't it?
It's peanut buttery, right? It's delicious. And so here's the extra virgin olive oil. We're using the Whole Foods kind. Isn't it yummy? Yeah, I like it on baby carrots or on apples too. It's like a nice snack. Super yummy. So we'll add the extra virgin olive oil here. Right in.
Could be a replacement since you're allergic to peanut butter.
Yes, see, it's a great
It has
replacement
a-
if you're allergic to
It
peanut
has a
butter.
distinct peanut flavor.
Yeah, absolutely. The lemon juice, so the fresh squeezed lemon juice here, we have the 1/4 cup of fresh squeezed lemon juice going in. Wanted to make sure I wasn't grabbing my pre-measured apple cider vinegar. That would be a very different flavor. And then 4 cloves of minced garlic. So I have 8 cloves of minced garlic in here. So I would just kind of take half of this and throw it in. I love garlic. Garlic is one of my most favorite foods. Garlic is anti-inflammatory and it's an amazing cancer fighter too, along with other vegetables like onions. I'm just looking for my mortar and pestle. Here we go. So we have the Himalayan pink salt, which is giant rocks of salt. And I'll give you just a few and you can pass them down and check them out. And we'll, don't taste them. Well, you could. But what we'll do here is just kind of mash them up in the mortar and pestle so that it's smaller pieces and it's not abrasive and terrifying when you do put it in your mouth. Although I do that sometimes at home on purpose, especially in desserts. I like them sweet and salty. Okay, and then so this is, you know, a little bit mashed up here, and I'll take from the bottom. And we want about 2 teaspoons of the pink salt going into the dressing. So we'll take, these are still a little bit big. Still a little bit big. Yes, sous chef will mash them. Mash them up for me here. And then 2 teaspoons of ground black pepper, so you can just eyeball that. That's sort of a personal taste, but I will just eyeball about 2 teaspoons of the ground black pepper right here. Right. And right there. And that should be pretty good. Yeah, so about 2 teaspoons of the pink salt we'll throw in here. Great. So he really smashed it up a little bit. And we can pass it around if you want to give it a shot, if you want to try, if you've never used a mortar and pestle, it can be really fun to do. Yeah, give it a
Ian's
shot.
gonna start helping me cook our new vegetarian food.
Good,
Just push
Ian.
very hard. Make it like this, like it's like you're in
And just squish it.
down.
Right, just smush it
Like
around.
Smoosh it, like around and around. Watch, let me show you quick. Go from the end.
And so what I'm doing here is just
Yeah.
taking the
See
whisk
that?
and whisking it in the bowl.
See?
Pretty
cool,
Throw
huh?
those back in there, yeah.
So, yeah, even, I mean,
All right, so-
both hands, so-
Super easy, super duper easy. We have this whisk, we whisk the dressing
Good job,
around.
buddy.
And then from here, we're gonna go ahead and pour it right into the salad. And I'll invite whoever wants to come up and help stir.
Do you want to stir it?
Sure. All right,
All
so
right,
you can
Ian.
come on up and you can help stir the salad here. We're just getting the rest of the dressing out. And I'll use this.
There's a, David, there's a spatula right there next to the stove. Is that it?
Great. And we can go ahead and mix that up.
You're gonna toss? Let me show you.
Yeah, let Mom come help.
Okay, so you wanna do this, you wanna grab it, and bring it from the bottom, just like when you're mixing something, from the bottom to the top. From the bottom to the top, okay? Give it a go. You wanna try it? There, from the bottom to the top.
All right, so while Ian's mixing that salad, we're going to get started on our next recipe as we're getting kind of tight on time here. So, good job.
There we go, see, look at that, good job, there you go.
Perfect. So we'll finish mixing that up
That's
after.
beautiful. From the
Beautiful
bottom
job.
to the
Thank
top.
you so much. Great. So the next recipe we'll be talking about, and well, don't worry, you'll get to taste this delicious salad. The next recipe we'll be talking about is the coleslaw, so the Not Your Mama's coleslaw. And the ingredients in this are 1/2 of a head of red cabbage and 1/2 of a head of green cabbage shredded. So we just have I'll show you, David will cut up the rest of these really quickly here and throw them in. So there's the green cabbage and the red cabbage, and they're both raw and both totally organic. Always super important to get organic cruciferous vegetables in the house. 3 large carrots shredded, and so we did that here, and we actually just used this like cheese grater, so it turned out to be a little bit more zesty than shreddy. I left the skin on the carrots, and the reason for doing that is because then you get a lot of the soil organisms. So the organic soil organisms that are really, really great for your microbiota and your microflora live on the skin of the carrot. And when you eat those, they feed your intestinal bacteria, and they're very, very good for you. So it's great, it helps to build your immunity. So anything with a thin skin that's organic and you know where it came from, it's fine to not peel. Beets, carrots, anything like that, and eating the peels has really great benefits to your digestive system. And that's fine, perfect, thank you so much. So we'll go ahead and throw these carrots into the coleslaw mix here. And David will throw the rest of the cabbage in there as well. I'll hand you this and I'll toss that in. And then the other ingredient was spring onions. So we have some green onions here, some spring green onions. And these are also organic and local. And the way that you want to do this is you cut off the little bottom furry part here. So you don't want to eat the little part with the hairs on it. And these are really, really fragrant, right? You've probably grown up around these, had them in your garden, had them in your yard, eaten them out of the ground. Do you want to smell?
We call them scallions as well.
They call them scallions as well. Yeah.
You'll hear them called scallions. So
Super yummy, right?
Oh,
when you
that
hear
smells great.
scallions are in something, that's what's in it.
And so we want really little pieces of that as well. And I'm going to use the bigger knife here. You want to just cut these really, really thin. And a good way to do that is you anchor the front part of your chef's knife and then you just lift and lower all the way down, right? So it's a really super fast way as you claw and you hold down the spring onions. The one warning I will tell you is to watch your fingers, especially when you start cutting that quickly. All right, so having one part of the knife anchored down, and just go all the way up until you feel like you're at a point where it's starting to get chewy and not really appetizing anymore, and you can discard that part of the green onion. All right, so scooping up all of these scallions, and we can drop them in there. See all the pretty colors?
Yeah.
The more colors in your food, the more phytonutrients or vitamins and minerals you're getting from your
Also
food.
looks delicious.
It does look
Yeah.
delicious, right? So the more that we eat our colors, the more nutrition we're actually getting every single day. So that's super great, super important. For the dressing, so there are a lot of ingredients in this dressing, and the reason is we're first going to make a vegan mayonnaise. All right, so we'll take this recipe, we'll walk over to the Ninja. All right, so this is the Ninja. I tend to use a Vitamix at home, so this is my first experience with a Ninja. I'm pretty excited about this Ninja. And we're going to add the coconut milk, the coconut oil, and the cashews. All right, so we have the coconut milk here, and the coconut milk comes in a little can. So since we're only using a little bit of this, David and I will actually put the rest of this can of coconut milk in the fridge, and we'll use it as coffee creamer in the morning. Such a good alternative for coffee creamer. It's delicious. All right. And we'll add that coconut milk right into the Ninja here. Okay. So coconut milk in, ready to roll. The next ingredient is going to be the coconut oil. So let me see where my coconut oil is. Oh, I think I put it away. But coconut oil, here it is. Coconut oil comes in a container like this, and it's a medium chain fatty acid. Okay, it's solid at room temperature, and that's the saturated fat. But saturated fat in this form is actually really good for you. So coconut oil is great to ingest. It's also great to put on your skin, use in your hair. There are just tons of things that you can do with it. So here's some coconut oil. It smells really good. It tastes really good. I'm all about the coconut oil. And so we'll put the 1/4 cup of coconut oil that I pre-measured out in here as well. You can use it in the shower. And in fact, you can cover your body with it. It's an Ayurvedic massage called Abhyanga. And then you can get in the shower and rinse it off and not have to use soap. Because soap is actually fat. And it's an all-natural version.
When you dry yourself off, you're all nice and soft.
Yeah, and then you're good to go. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to add is a 1/4 cup of cashews. So here I've actually measured out a whole cup. And I put my 1/4 cup measuring cup somewhere, but we can actually just use half of a cup.
One in the
Did I
drawer
go
to
over
the
that?
left. In the drawer to the left, there should be another.
So many toys, so
Left.
little time.
Your other left.
It's actually fine. So half of a cup, if you're ever in my predicament here, half of a cup is a 1/4 cup. Pretty easy peasy. So there we go. We have a 1/4 cup of the cashews in the food processor. All right, and so the instructions say that we blend this, and then once it's mixed well, we start to drizzle in olive oil. So half of the allotted olive oil. The allotted amount of olive oil is 1/4 cup, so we'll do 1/8 of a cup. All right, 1/8 of a cup only. So actually 1/8 of a cup will also be 2 tablespoons, so I have a tablespoon measurer. First thing we'll do is figure out how to put the cover on the Ninja, give it a close, and we'll go ahead and turn it on. And I don't know, Ian, do you think it's mixed? I think it's mixed.
I think it looked like you might have been having a little fun.
And so the next thing that we'll do is we'll drizzle in the olive oil here. And so I'm going to just actually use 2 tablespoons of olive oil. 1 and 2. And I'm making vegan mayonnaise right now. Okay, so 2 tablespoons of that, and then 2 tablespoons of the allotted apple cider vinegar. All right, so 1/2 of the allotted apple cider vinegar here. And we'll put that right in. All right. And then from here, we are going to pulse this until it's the consistency of regular mayonnaise. All right, so I'm going to give this a close and turn it on. That always helps. Beautiful. And there we have it. So this is vegan. It's the start of vegan mayonnaise, and you can see that it's kind of thick and fluffy, much like mayonnaise would be out of the jar. Pretty cool, right? Without any eggs or animal products or canola oil or anything inflammatory in it. All right, so I'm going to put that right back in there. We'll add the rest of the ingredients now. So turmeric or curcumin is also another really great anti-inflammatory, also antimicrobial, analgesic, and antibiotic spice that we use a lot in Indian cooking. It's a great immunity elixir. It's really wonderful if you have a wound or something, actually. You can create a turmeric paste and put it on the wound, and the red inflammation around it will go down. You will turn yellow. One of my favorite things to do in the winter is to mix 1 part turmeric with 4 parts organic local raw honey. Mix it all together, add a pinch of black pepper, and take little teaspoons of it throughout the day. It'll nip colds and stuff right in the bud right from the get-go. So we're going to add about 1 teaspoon of the turmeric as well here. So I'm going to just measure that out. 1 teaspoon of turmeric goes right in there. And I can pass this around as well so you can smell that. Yeah. Yeah. We'll add the remainder of the olive oil, which is 1/4 cup or 2 more tablespoons here.
Turmeric.
I have that upstairs in capsules you can take as a vitamin as well.
And then 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard, which I'm kind of a mustard freak. I love mustard. So we have the Organic-Ville organic Dijon mustard, which is just mustard seeds. There's more turmeric in this vinegar and salt. So super simple, super organic. You don't want anything that ever has artificial flavors or colors in it, because that's not food. It's a food imposter. Okay? And we want to stay away from imposters. We don't like them. And we'll add our pink salt as well here. So we have our pink salt already ground up. We'll add a pinch or a teaspoon of the pink salt here into the dressing. All right. And then 1/4 cup of the dill. So I'll have my sous chef come on back over, and he's just going to cut up a little bit more of the dill for me here. Any questions so far?
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you talk about some of these ingredients being
Yeah.
anti-inflammatory,
Yeah.
would that eating these these food or the spices, would that take down like inflammation in your joints
Yeah.
naturally?
Absolutely, yeah. So
Really?
start thinking about your body as all one thing. A lot of times, let's say we have a headache, right? We take an aspirin. We think that aspirin like somehow magically takes a little car right up to our head, but it doesn't. It affects every cell in our body. So if we're eating something that's anti-inflammatory, it's going to be anti-inflammatory to every part of your body. Yeah, so that's something interesting to really start thinking about if you're looking toward a more anti-inflammatory diet. And we'll go ahead and add the dill in to finish the dressing up. Great. And we'll process this, and then we'll have another helper. Maybe Mom, you could be my helper this time to mix the coleslaw.
Okay.
All right. So we'll go ahead and blend this.
Dairy's very inflammatory.
Okay. And we have our coleslaw dressing. So we'll take the blade out because that can be dangerous. And David, maybe you can help get that over there to Mom. Great, thank you so much. Yeah, and we're using that spatula. Good. Awesome. And so here we go. We're about to see magic in the making. Vegan coleslaw coming to life. And we'll set the potato salad over here because we'll be eating this after for dinner. Clearing a little space. Ian, I hope you're learning fun things. Good. And I'll start to set the stage for our peach panzanella salad, which is actually my most favorite recipe that we're using tonight. All right, so it's summertime and peaches are in season. They're delicious, they're nutritious. What we have for the peach panzanella salad, and you don't have the recipe on hand, but we have hothouse organic tomatoes, okay, are going to go in the peach panzanella salad, which means bread, peach panzanella. We have organic yellow peaches from a local farm. They're also going in the salad. And this is an organic and gluten-free, dairy-free bread from Dee's One Smart Bee Bakery in Glastonbury, which is actually a black bean base. And there's molasses in this bread. It's made with garfava flour. It's also soy-free, corn-free, rice-free, but don't worry, it's not taste-free. So if you'd like to try, a little nibble before you put it in the salad, I can totally pass it around. You can give it a little bite. Do you want to try a bite, Ian? Yeah? Here you go, my friend. Yeah, give it a go. Give it a shot. Wonderful.
That's good.
It's good, right?
Yeah.
All right.
There is shower cake came from there, vegan.
Vegan? Yep, my
Chocolate
bridal shower.
cake with frosting.
And so, to cut the peaches up, we simply take the chef's knife, and we just want them in sort of large chunks. We go ahead and cut around the core, all right? And you end up with a little bit of the pink in the peach cuts, and that's totally fine. That's no big deal, all right? And then we discard the core. We don't eat the core. That's never good, because then peaches grow in your belly, and you have a peach. That's not true. That's not a fact. Don't quote me on that. All right, so we have all of the yummy cut up peaches here. And sous chef of mine, will you hand me the large yellow panzanella serving dish? So we're going to mix our salad over here. All right, so there are our peaches all cut up. And I'll go ahead and dump those in. Dump the peaches in. The other thing we have here are the hothouse tomatoes. And so I've cut most of these up already. And I'll cut the final one as well. I'll go ahead and dump those in. Tomatoes are a great source of lycopene, which is a huge antioxidant in the body. Tomatoes are also anti-inflammatory. They are a nightshade, so some people do have a hard time digesting them. But some ways to make them more digestible in the body is to mix them with spices like black pepper, which we'll be doing tonight. You can also roast them and cook them with oil. So the more oleated a food is, the easier it's going to be to digest. If you have a hard time digesting something, adding oil to it or cooking it can make it more easy to digest, all right? So here we go, there's that. We have the gluten-free, dairy-free bread here, and I would normally use a bread knife, but I have this one and it's easy to cut, so I'll cut the rest of this up as well. And we're just doing large chunks for this bread to just go ahead and throw right in. It'll soak up the dressing really nicely. It's a really great addition. If you've ever been in an Italian restaurant, this is a dish they have often is a panzanella salad. And we're using summer vegetables. We're using peaches and tomatoes to make this tonight, just to add a little kick, change a little bit of it up, make it a new thing, all right? So there's that. There's the bread. We'll add the rest of that gluten-free dairy bread as well. To the peach, that might be a little much, huh? Yeah, so I'm going to remove a little bit of it. It's starting to get heavy. It's starting to get heavy. Great. So if you want, you can munch on these little bread chunks while you wait. I'm sure you're probably getting hungry. Yeah, totally. And something fun to do for you, actually, might even be to dip it in some of the sesame tahini. So I'll go ahead and pass a little bit of that around for you as well, if you'd like to kind of play with that. So you could give it a try if you'd like. The next ingredient in the peach panzanella salad would be arugula. So I'm going to add maybe a handful, a little bit more than a handful of the arugula to it, and we'll get to toss this all up as well in just a moment when we mix up the dressing. All right. The dressing is super simple. This is just universal vinaigrette that we're going to make here. So I'm going to take 1 part, all right, olive oil. And basically what I'll just do is I have my lemon juice. Oh, I don't have my lemon juice. This is apple cider vinegar. Sorry about that. But I'm going to take about that much, about a 1/4 cup of the olive oil here and throw it in. So if you don't know how much a 1/4 cup is, you can come back to your measuring cup, or you can start to figure out different ways to eyeball it. So, you know, a 1/4 cup was about 2 of those or 4 of those tablespoons, all right? So here's our 1/2 cup. We're going to do a 1/4 cup. Actually, we'll do a full 1/2 cup of Evo because we're making kind of a big salad. So a 1/2 cup of extra virgin olive oil, all right? And then we're doing organic balsamic vinegar, which I know is one of my mother's favorite condiments in the world. So we'll do a little bit less than a 1/2 cup of the balsamic vinegar. All right, this is super duper easy. We're going to add some red pepper flakes to it to give it a little bit of a kick. So we'll go ahead and toss those right in there, red pepper flakes. If you have any herbs lying around, you could throw herbs in. We're going to throw in fresh ground black pepper. Tons of fresh ground black pepper. Makes it so much easier to digest, so much more delicious. All right. 4 cloves of minced garlic are going right in there, right in the bowl. And then the one more ingredient we'll add is salt. So we've ground up this salt, thanks for your health team. And we'll go ahead and throw some of that pink salt in there. Salt can really make or break a dish sometimes, right? So simple. We're going to whisk this all together. And then I'm going to have my sous chef toss this salad for me. And he's going to just use a large spoon. So we'll just grab one of the large salad spoons over there. Great. It looks like we might actually need a little bit more dressing than that, so I'll add a little bit more olive oil. You can go ahead and start tossing. And I'm just winging it here now. And so the final thing that we'll make is going to be the dessert, which is fresh pineapple chunks, which my sous chef already cut up for me, dipped in cashew cream. And that recipe is not on your handout either, but it's literally 4 ingredients. And so I think that you'll probably have a really easy time remembering it. And so see what David's doing here with the salad. What my inclination would be normally, and this would just be in my kitchen, is I would let go of the idea of using utensils and use my clean hands to come up below it and scoop it up. So that can be a really easy alternative. If you know that you know where your hands have been, you can go ahead and scoop with your hands.
It might be easier if you wash this hands sometimes.
And so the final thing we're going to do, because we are running out of time here, I'm trying to be mindful, is make the cashew cream to dip the pineapple chunks in. All right. So the few ingredients that we have here are cashews that I've soaked for 2 hours so that they're softer. All right, so this is going to be our whipped cream alternative. We have organic maple syrup, Madagascar vanilla extract, and then we'll use a little bit of the pink salt. And we're using this little baby food processor here called the Ninja. So we'll go ahead and throw all of the cashews right into the Ninja. All right, fill it right up. So this is going to be our dessert. Sometimes it's fun to have dessert for dinner instead of dinner, but we won't be doing that tonight. So we'll throw all of our cashews right in there. All right, we're going to add maple syrup. So this will be about 1 to 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, depending on how sweet you like it. All right, and I'm going to use just about 1 tablespoon of maple syrup here. All right, and that's going right in. And then vanilla extract, which can be really strong, and this still has a little plastic thing on it, so I'll have my sous chef open that up for me. And a pinch of salt. We're also going to use a little bit of water. All right, so we're going to need a little bit of filtered water, which we're not going to add all in at once, just in case it's too much. All right, so I'm going to take a little bit of water here. A little bit of just water to add. And we'll start with just a drop. The trick is always figuring out which way to put the top on these things, and I'll start with the grind. Alright, so that's super simple, and now I'll take my vanilla, and I'm going to add just a tiny bit. So a lot of times you can just use the cap to the vanilla, and you don't have to dirty another dish. I just add about a capful of the vanilla extract. That tends to be plenty. We're going to need a little bit more water to make it a little bit creamier here. We'll throw the cover back on, and go ahead and great. And we have a fantastic, healthy, delicious whipped cream alternative made out of just a few basic ingredients that you probably already have lying around your house. So yummy, so good for you. I'll scoop that into the pineapple serving dish. So we'll go right over here, scoop it right in. And David, if you'd help me clear everything that's not one of the dishes off of the table, that would be amazing. Thank you so very, very much. Okay, and so we will present our vegan picnic dishes here. Okay, we have, thank you, all sorts of assistants in the house. All sorts of assistants. Oh, thanks everybody. Okay. Yay. Best audience ever.
That doesn't mean we're doing the dishes.
Ah, that's what the sous chef is for. Oh. Okay, wonderful. And now what I'm going to have you all do is just come up and give everything a taste. So I'm bringing you over forks. I have some forks for you here. So I'll have you each take a fork, and you can each take a little sampling plate. All right. And go ahead and come and try everything. So time to eat. Yeah. Sound good?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much for participating, and I hope you have a really good time trying all of the dishes tonight.
Thank you.
Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Dave.
Okay, thanks. All right, cool.